Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with a potato masher is mashed, showing a replica of a German who was cut down, trying to throw a grenade. Their grenades are called potato mashers, typically. But we're now on to Nazi generals surrender to GIs. April 1945, the Wehrmacht totters. Two high-ranking German officers who were in charge of Hersfeld drive up to surrender to a couple of tough-looking Yanks in a tank of the 4th Armored Division, United States 6th Army. 3rd Army, my bad, not 6th. 3rd Army. 3,000 tanks were rolling across the Reich, smashing a path for the 6 great Allied armies in the West, stabbing ever deeper into the vitals of the Reich. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of guys that surrender. I mean, if I was in their position, I would too. You know, you can clearly tell your country is falling. Any idea that you're gonna get away from this, without some kind of just like, okay, I gotta surrender or I'm dead kind of thing. A lot of them are just gonna do that. A lot of these guys don't necessarily believe in the cause as deeply, and they're just good military generals. But so they're gonna surrender, and it's probably for the best. And I mean, hey, look, there's a whole tank division coming up. Might as well surrender to them, huh? Death around the corner. April 4th, 1945. The Wheel of Chance. Luck was not with one Yank who lies dead beside a wagon wheel in the German town of Oberdorla. Oberdorla? Another doughboy takes a chance against Nazi sniper bullets, and 2 more await their turn. The town is captured by infantry and tanks on the 6th Armored Division, 3rd Army. A 300-mile arc of 1 million Allied troops east of the Rhine was moving to eclipse Germany. Yeah, well, like I have to say always, this is just a recreation, just so you are aware. But yeah, German snipers, very, very, very common problem for these captured cities. These guys can just hold up in a spot, take a shot or a few shots, get down, move to a different spot, and that's just what they would do. They would move and move and move, and they caused a lot of deaths behind the lines, because it's just these endless German snipers that they're just doing, and they get a lot of guys. Really unfortunate, you know. The Allies rush onward. April 5th, 1945. Enough! Waving the white flag of surrender, these Nazi small fry in Hesselbach try to give up to onrushing 7th Army soldiers, but the Yanks are not too intent on the retreating German army to pay much heed. Another point in the path of the Allies was Lindbergh, bottom picture here, now reduced to a twisted mass of wreckage by Allied bombings. Debris is remains of marshalling yards. The debris. But yeah, you can see sometimes when these guys gotta go, they gotta go. They can't stop for these Germans that are surrendering. They're like, hey, somebody in the back will get them. That's kind of the thought. Sometimes, obviously, that's not necessarily the best idea because while it is technically against the rules, waving the white flag and then shooting people in the back, not really allowed. But it did happen, of course. Like with anything, it's against the rules until the rules say, well, I don't care. Until you say, I don't care about the rules, That's how it is. And yeah, you can see some of the destruction of the Allied bombings here. Just look at this, all of this basically train track just all ripped up and everything. You can see the destruction of it. Devastating, Bird of prey in China Sea. April 6th, 1945. A strike. An American B-25, its nose painted grotesquely, swoops down on a Japanese escort vessel to send it to the bottom of the China Sea. The bomb bays are still open. The Nipponese vessel went down soon afterward. In other forays in the same area, B-25s sunk a Jap warship similar to the type shown here. Superforts continued to pound the homeland. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of these B-25s bombing ships, of course. And the Japs are not really going to be able to handle that. The Japanese are, you know, the Japanese are on the back foot. They've got vessels still, they've got things like that, but America and mostly just America. Britain doesn't have a lot of ships out here, and Soviets don't have any. But they've really got it locked down. They're not going to stop for anything. And so they're going to get as many of these B-25s over this. They're going to hit the homeland, all this. And the Japanese, they're going to try, but there's just not much you can do against overwhelming air superiority. The Third Army captures German gold hoard. April 7th, 1945. Patton hits jackpot. 100 tons of gold bullion and millions in currency and art treasures were uncovered in a salt mine near Merkers by troops of General Patton's Third Army. An American finance officer, the left, checks the money bags with a Reich Bank official. The colossal cash was revealed to military police by two gossipy German women. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like this that the Germans have. A lot of these salt mines, a lot of hidden rooms, a lot of hidden places that they just have so much gold hidden in them. And some of it will never be found. There's still gold that's missing today. There's whole treasure hoards that are hidden today that nobody even knows where they are or whatever happened to them. By this point, they're probably either sold, they were sold long ago, or they were taken and somebody's just sitting on them. Basically told, yeah, don't ever spend this because you'll be killed. But yeah, who knows? It's hard to say whatever happened to a lot of this stuff. But yeah, look at the gold and money and all that just going on and on and on and on. Crazy. Transports remove the wounded. April 7th, 1945. Race against time. Speedy hospitalization saved many lives of American troops on Okinawa. After being given first aid on the battlefield, the more serious cases were put aboard huge transport planes staffed by capable nurses and doctors. Here, a flight nurse secures a casualty into his stretcher, aboard a transport which has been converted into a hospital plane, and bringing in supplies. Yeah, obviously casualty, if I know some people get this a little confused. Casualty just means either wounded or killed, so it means both. So these are all casualties. So whenever you look at the casualty numbers, just know it's not just kill, it's also wounded. Um, you have to look for deaths specifically to find the deaths in the war. But yeah, a lot of these guys probably glad to be going home after being injured. Um, Obviously, some of them probably still want to fight, but you got to go home. You got to rest. You got to get better because you're going to be a liability if you're not all healed up, and things could get worse, for you. So better to go home and recuperate, or at least go to a military hospital and recuperate. The fleet attacks in East China Sea. April 7th, 1945. The Yamato is sunk. The 40-ton battleship Yamato Yamato. I don't know. I keep trying to say it, but I just keep messing up. Again, tries to flee from American planes above, but in this engagement, she was sunk as well as two cruisers and three destroyers. Three Other destroyers were left burning. Jap planes struck back, and the United States Navy anchorage threw up a heavy barrage below. The Japs got decidedly the worst of the battle. Yeah, this ship, obviously, it's trying to flee again, but it's not going to make it. A lot of these big battleships by this point. I mean, here's the thing. The battleships, they're great, and the Japanese had the largest battleships of the time. But one thing with battleships is they kind of got outclassed by air superiority. Um, Air defense didn't keep up with air power. So you have a lot of these ships that just can't fight off enough of these ships. It's just, or these planes. It's just not enough. Nowadays, that might be different. Air defense is a lot different now. And theoretically, a battleship could still have a place in modern war, but it's hard to say. Probably maybe not. Honestly, it just planes are so effective, and now there's drones and things like that. But it really shows like air power. It really knocks out these battleships, and they can't stand a chance. It's just not possible. A famous war correspondent at the front, April 8th, 1945. Ernie Pyle and buddies. The foot soldiers correspondent, Ernie Pyle, shares his cigarettes with some 1st Division Marines as they rest at an Okinawa roadside. Pyle, more than any other writer, told the story of the common GI. A few days after the scene shown here, Pyle was instantly killed by a blast of Japanese machine gun fire on Aishima. Yeah, you get a lot of these correspondents. They're out there, they're writing stories about these guys and things like that, and they're right there with the soldiers constantly. The soldiers have these guys with them, and they sometimes have guns, sometimes don't, but they're gonna suffer some of the fates that the soldiers do, and this is one of those examples. Ernie Pyle, definitely, there's a lot of stuff that he wrote. If you can go look back at it, um, it's super interesting to read some of the stories that he wrote and things like that. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you have anything you can improve on, please leave a comment. I always appreciate that. And as always, subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Thank you.